right then, afternoon and welcome once again to Gaming Under the Influence. I'm Mike here with Alex, coming to you guys from GreenDragonCVR in Woodbridge, Ontario to talk to you about video games.
Oh yeah, always video games.
Once again. How's it going, buddy?
Yep. It's pretty good. How about you?
Not so bad at all.
All right.
Just playing a little bit of the Ascent the past few days, playing a little bit of the Quarry, a little bit of Observer System Redo.
Nice.
Redux. I don't know how to say this.
Yeah, I thought it was a Redux, but well,
not really sure.
Been freaking actually jumped in Live Alive or Live Live or whatever it's called on the Switch.
Yeah, a lot of fucking uncertainty regarding the names, the titles we're talking about today. It's okay.
Yeah, that's right. Oh man,
I'm glad to fucking hear that. That's pretty cool. Actually, I didn't know that this game was originally only released in Japan, so
I didn't know that either. I knew it was a remake of a game from, I think it was a Super Nintendo, but I had no idea that it didn't come to NA because it just the remake came here, obviously. But I guess it's more popular now. But
yeah, it sure seems so.
Yeah.
The remarkable thing to me is how much of a proto Octopath Traveler it sounds like as you described it to me, right? Like we're all like, "Wow, Octopath, so revolutionary," but really it just wholesale lifted the conventions.
Yeah, it's funny because it looked originally like, obviously the art style it's made with the same engine and the HD 2D thing that they sort of coined for that shit. But aside from that, even the concept of the game where you select different chapters and play with different characters spanning different time, it's actually like almost like an expanded version of what Octopath is. But
it's interesting, and it turns out in the end that fucking iterative relationship we always identify with precedent things becoming the matter for new things still obtains here, even if we don't know about the matter. We don't know about the. That's cool. I'm interested to delve a little bit into Live Alive, which I haven't had the chance to play yet.
I got
you. And maybe today, like we were just discussing, it would be great to talk about what we've been playing, a little bit more of a casual episode instead of jumping into those more
heavy themes there,
floaty subject matters about politics and the purpose of things. Yeah, so what would you like to discuss, buddy? How about Live Alive?
Yeah.
Give me some details about this shit.
Get into her. So,
who develops this game?
That's a good question.
Who developed it originally? Let's take a quick look at that.
Yeah, let's do some homework here.
Developed by Square back in the day. Can we take a look at... did you click on the director's name? Takashi Tokita. Final Fantasy IV lead designer, as well as Parasite Eve and Chrono Trigger.
Oh,
Fuck,
shit.
That's a serious resume, bro. That's a good resume. So shit, we're in the presence of a game by some pretty great people, apparently, bro.
Looks like it, yeah.
He was involved in the production of 7 as well. Who's the... Look at this, man. Square has a core team that's fucking literally been there forever.
They definitely have some like old timers that have just been sticking around, contributing to the bangers. Similar to Nintendo, you see all the same dudes, the same guys have been floating around, just sort of lending their either programming knowledge or even just philosophical like game ideas. You know what I mean? Like this game came out and I knew nothing of it, but just with the pedigree, an old game from the Super Nintendo era, Square Soft, right?
Yeah.
Re-released. So we gave it a shot.
The trailer for it not so long ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's when immediately the Octopath Traveler sort of like jumped out at me because obviously they used the same engine and the same that HD 2D style that they call. Basically, it looks like almost like papercraft or something. It's very strange. Now, it looks amazing.
Is the graphics here redone or are the original graphics?
So I'm running on Unreal Engine now, and I don't think that was
this time remade with gorgeous HD 2D visuals. All right, it is literally a fucking remake of the thing.
Yeah.
What an interesting project, buddy. I must say, the very fact that this exists is pleasing to me.
Yeah, it's
who the hell was this marketed to?
It's amazing to see, like,
us directly. Who's this
maybe
for?
Because we've seen over the years, like remasters and remakes are so popular, but like for the most popular franchise,
but see how
it's starting to like trickle down.
Sony's remaking The Last of Us.
Oh god,
which has a PS4 copy already.
Yeah, PS4 remastered.
These guys are remaking this game. Literally, it's impossible that we heard of it.
I would not have ever known what this was unless this remake came out.
Its logic simply cannot be to appeal to a pre-existing demographic because in the West there literally is not one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Why make these esoteric turn-based RPGs from the 80s again?
Maybe
2D,
somebody
3D,
just wanted to bring it up to current standards.
Yeah, man.
They're passionate about it.
Maybe because they said this is an important work in the medium's history, right? It set the tone it set the tone and designed the mechanics that appeared in important RPGs since then. It would be valuable for the West to be able to play it, probably. I like to think,
and even
in my
on their end. No, you're right though.
Right?
And even on their end of the spectrum too. Like I bet a lot of people in Japan haven't played it. And fucking You know, like the same way we haven't fucking even heard of it. But yeah, you're right. I guess that because it never came to the West, this would be the first release over here. And the only people in the West here would have played it would have been people who've heard about and imported copies or knew how to fucking read.
The motive must be the belief in the people making and paying for it and the fucking quality of the work, because it's literally impossible that anybody recognizes it and buys it on that basis, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They're probably like, well, this 2D, 3D shit's popular now. It might be an opportune time, right? So tell us about the structure, you know, especially this is the part where it resembles Octopath the most.
Exactly. The cool thing is that when you start, there's a choice of 8 characters, much like, I think it's 8, but much like Octopath Traveler, same thing. You choose different characters, though in that game, you choose basically your party, like the main guy in your party, and then you recruit the other guys. These ones are all separate stories, and they actually take place in separate, like, times of history.
Practically
separate universes.
Practically,
yeah, exactly. One of them's prehistoric, you know, caveman, Far Cry primal shit, and then you get like the Wild West. There's like a modern version. There's near future, far future. There's some really cool shit there, and like just the fact that it encompasses all of those things, right? All those like different periods of. There's even Imperial China, which is so cool.
That's very cool,
right?
Yeah.
Holy shit,
that's very cool.
So they all have very unique stories that fit obviously those timelines and what's going on. Haven't played through them yet because I only started the one, but it's cool that it's the opposite of Octopath in that sense too, where the different characters are their own stories with their own parties, like, you know, in an RPG fashion, and I guess you just run through them. And I know there is some kind of thing at the end where it like ties them all up together in some fashion or some way. I just don't have details on that. Obviously, I haven't played through it, but it very much is like Octopath. It's like they came out with maybe their original inspiration for a type of game like that and remastered it, remade it, I guess, on the Switch, and it's like. This is the Octopath sequel I guess I wanted. Sweet. Like,
it's a very cool narrative structure. Yeah. I think especially for somebody like me, the appeal to this is that I don't often find myself capable of sympathizing with a character for a massive narrative, you know?
Yeah.
I get bored of games oftentimes because I don't give a shit about the characters.
Of course.
It's nice that you kind of, you know, when there's variegated settings and characters and periods and all of these things, there's more for the mind to immerse itself in, I find, right? Like that kind of variation, you know? I think it's kind of like a fucking tongue-in-cheek appeal to what I think makes JRPGs and games like them special, right? Like we talked about this before, but like, you know, I think you can say something is beautiful in proportion to its intelligibility, right? Like the reason why a fucking painting is more beautiful than a carpet is because there's in a painting more things signified. There's like your mind doesn't just see the fucking raw material, it sees an image through it, right? Whereas a rug is a rug, you know, it's just itself, right? It has a semiotic valence, right? And a fucking movie, then you could argue, or whatever, like it in proportion that its richness, there's more form in it, it's more beautiful, right? And I think JRPGs compared to something like a fucking match-based shooter or Rocket League or a sports game, obviously, I don't know, we talked about this before too, there's a lot more world building involved. You gotta think of all of the different layers of reality, starting from what being is to fucking causality and natural categories and all this shit, right? And I think a game like this with fucking, you know, it flirts with this like massive and multi-faceted fucking plot line, like there's more to it even than there would be in something
it's
that
like
has
buying a book of short fucking stories or something, like, you know what I mean? There's just, we don't
the potential for it having that kind of overarching intelligibility, something with like a singular setting might lack is it's high, right? Like that's cool, I think, especially if they think of some fucking means
if it comes together in the end. And that's the kicker too. If like this game is probably really good, but if it, and I'll find out hopefully if it comes together in the end in like a super satisfying way and ties everything somehow, like in the overarching structure, like you were saying, just like right into each other again, it would be like fucking,
it's cool, right?
Piece of fucking like a master fucking piece, right?
I like fucking just, seeing that thing, and I like even the reasoning that would bring somebody to make that kind of depiction, right? Like what do you have to think about to be able to situate these things next to each other, right?
Idea,
the deeper things about what it means to be real, I guess, is the answer, you know, and that's why it's interesting, right? That's why JRPGs are interesting. They're all about fucking cosmic struggles and perspectives on what is real and fucking the way we should be as human beings, right?
Yeah, there's a lot going on there, and it's it's not like just jacking in a kind of one-track thing and just going out, which, not to criticize too much, like I play Gran Turismo when I just want to kind of fuck around, but something like this is completely different. Yeah,
I think so too.
It's amazing.
I think so too.
I can't wait to play more Live Alive. It's really cool. I picked, of course, the fucking prehistoric one because I'm trying to go from like the earliest possible civilization through to like the far future, right? And there's no like dialogue because they just grunt at each other, and it shows little pictures above their head of like what they're vaguely trying to like communicate, right? It's just like and they like throw shit at each other. It's been pretty good. I'm assuming like the ones after will have like proper dialogue and stuff, but it's so funny the way this one is done.
Yep.
It seems like a really fucking a really good project, man. I'm happy this game came out. I'm happy it came here, and I definitely want to keep kind of going in there. And
very cool.
I'll probably finish it for sure.
I'm happy it's come to the West too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Look forward to trying it out myself.
Fucking hidden gem from the past. Like, this is so fucking...
I didn't want to start that before Xenoblade this week. There's no way I'm gonna.
I know, that's
first,
the thing, right? Maybe I just gotta delay on Xenoblade. I feel like I'm really into it, so...
Good, yeah, that's a good idea. Shit.
Yeah.
Xenoblade is this week, is it not?
Friday. Oh my god, yeah. Shit, we're already at Tuesday.
Crazy stuff.
And Bear and Breakfast. Can't forget that one.
Oh, Bear and Breakfast too. I wish that was a physical game.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see Live Alive added to that heap of interesting JRPGs on Nintendo's console. Another 2D, 3D game can't be bad either.
Yeah, oh yeah. Fuck, they've been hitting it out the park with those games as of lately. I think Triangle Strategy is probably good too, but I didn't really. It didn't take for me. So.
I'm planning to go back to it at some point, but
yeah,
it's just too much on my plate right now.
Oh yeah,
not in the mood for that flavor, if you will.
Yeah,
right
same.
You know what I mean? And the it's prolix. It's very wordy, right?
Oh yeah. It's very dense and like there's a lot of cutscenes. I think the first couple hours are like very little gameplay, which I don't care for anyway. It's
overstated
fine, but
dialogue, we might
just
call it, right?
not really into it right now. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, Live Alive or Live Alive, whatever it is, I'm gonna keep on jamming into her for now.
Absolutely. I've been messing around with a number of different... I've wanted to play a Cyberpunk game. I'm reading some Cyberpunk fiction.
Nice.
A book called Light by M. John Harrison. I'm reading Count Zero by William Gibson. I like Cyberpunk as an aesthetic and as a fucking kind of like a world building frame because its whole like thing is, it's philosophically interesting, the idea of like the synthesis between artificial and biological life and what that means for intellectual animals. I would interpret Cyberpunk as.
It's nice to see this game because honestly it looks ripped out of like FF7 remake, just like in terms of like details and like just how good it looks. It's fucking
definitely the city
blows my mind watching.
Would bring to mind
Midgar, right? Yeah, it looks fucking insane. Like so much detail on an isometric game. That's kind of surprising, right? But it looks fantastic. I mean, you're looking at a lot of shit, so it's should be that way, I guess, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure.
I haven't played it, so I'm just going based off on the footage, literally watching the footage that's probably also compressed and shitty.
There's a lot to say about this game, and it all fucking, you're right about all of the stuff you said right there for sure. But before we get started, definitely I think like its first victory is how well it fucking, again, if I think Cyberpunk's themes are that synthesis between biological and technological modes of being and what it means for intellectual life. Like, I guess if you were to ask a materialist, they would say, well, just the full stop, like the synthesis between man and technology. But that's not the full story, obviously, if you're not a dummy. And the implication, I think Cyberpunk 2077 explored this well too, is what that means for intellectual life. And with the Delmain quest line, with Johnny and shit like that, it was an intrinsic part of that story. And this game it leans heavily into that too. I think, though, it leans into it in terms of the implications for, if Cyberpunk was about like the interpersonal confluence of technology and biology, this is about like the social confluence, right? Like the fucking whole thing is, the whole plot and like everything that's going on is instigated by the fact that this arcology, which is essentially run, in terms of its day-to-day by this whole like legion of different kinds of AI. And this board of a massive corporation that owns the whole arcology, right? Like the whole it introduces you in the first few minutes to it's called an arcology anyways. An arcology is a self-contained like ecosystem,
right?
Such as this one where like fucking food production and energy and everything is like taking place in there. I guess this is on some faraway planet where you can just kind of presume the outside environment is inhospitable. I'm not sure, but like everything takes place within this arcology. And life here is only possible because of the fact that there's like protein growers and like fucking guys who take care of like oxygen production and energy production, all this stuff, and like they've organized, you know, like these different clusters, they're called, which are kind of like municipalities within the fucking giant arcology, and kind of like how Disco Elysium takes place in one district of this massive empire. That's where the game takes place, in this one area of this arcology, at least so far.
Right.
Probably later on you go up to the top of it and see some other areas too, but I think the main thing is set in this one place. And
sounds fucking sick. And it's funny that your point there also, I feel like it's funny because Cyberpunk is a first-person game, like, and it sort of deals with that, you know, more interpersonal, like, relationship between your characters.
Sure, that's a good point. Yeah,
there's also more. Yeah, and this one's isometric. It's literally like ripping you up and seeing everything.
Social
you know.
Scale,
yeah.
But I think, like, you know, where it's definitely, you're definitely right about that. Like, I guess it's more like focused on the, you know, from the viewpoint to like what's going on in the story and the themes. It's more focused on, instead of the interpersonal confluence of tech and biology, the social. And there's some like awesome details throughout. The world building is top notch, buddy. Like in the first few minutes, I shit you not, you learn things like how these clusters are organized, and each cluster is run by these like people called alphas and betas, who are like, they're not like team bosses, they're like fucking you know, the people who know about growing proteins and like just the essential function, protein being the basic, I guess, food source for people in this place, and the people who know about keeping the ecosystem going, and with their technological and scientific expertise and whatnot, right? And you learn that the corporation, like, at one point had the choice to organize the fucking the little municipalities to be self-sufficient, but they chose instead to distribute crucial systems between the municipalities, so no one or two of them could ever like possibly like isolate itself and function on its own.
They want to maintain control,
them to the giant capitalist ecosystem, that everything takes place within.
That would never happen.
Yeah, it's awesome, and you know, again, like, it understands, like, you know, I like how there's like this layer of meaning where, you know, like, it distinguishes between these. Like, I guess you could say that Cyberpunk does this too, and, you know, despite what I just said, it focuses on this one thing at the personal level. It also invokes all this other stuff, and this game does the same thing. And I like how it's aware of these distinctions, like how there's the layer of like man and technology meeting and society and technology, and like how the economic valence and how capitalism, which essentially is the economic philosophy of Cyberpunk, fits into all of this, right? Like, both games deal with that essentially too, how like this confluence is brought about by the fucking desire of a corporation to build sort of like a self-contained, like, imminent, you know, zone of human existence. Where
that's got to be like a major Cyberpunk theme in general, not just these specific games. Like, that's just what's going on. Like, by default, right? Like,
guys like Nick Land, you know,
we're heading that way in real life.
For sure. I've talked about this guy before, but this guy Nick Land, who was this big philosopher of, I guess he is a, you know, he believes in capitalism, all right. He's like, he was a cyberpunk philosopher back in the day, though. He wrote about Neuromancer and shit like that. And his whole take is that capital is essentially that confluence of fucking tech and everything else, right? The idea of like an imminent plane of everything like becoming one sort of thing. And that's what capital is, like a map of all things. So, you know, whether or not like we're capitalist or not, like this technological confluence, according to this guy, would be called capital, right? Like, capital just means that plane of imminence where differences collude, you know? So it's cool how, anyways, games like this fucking are literate in all of these ideas, whether the guy's sitting there trying to explain it to you or not. Like, that's what's going on here, right? Every part of the world building takes into account this fucking rich history of cyberpunk fiction. And one thing that I like about this game, you know, over Cyberpunk 2077 is set on like, it's like Vegas. It's like set on a flat fucking, you know, on a flat area, right? It's set in a desert, literally. I'm pretty sure Night City's in a desert, right? Like a Vegas-like desert. And everything's flat, even though there's big buildings and shit like that, everything's flat. This is fucking set in like an arcology, bro, like with walls around it and a giant like cone and like a fucking tower in the middle. Like every scene, there's fucking details in the foreground, the background, right in the middle.
Like it, man.
So much, like, and when you zoom into, you know, the level of the characters' perspectives, like you're doing right now, every time you go to a store, there's also you know, a photo mode where you can unlock the camera and have everybody walk around and just view things from first person if you want to. Nice. And the details are actually at the level of the character's perspective, right? Like, there's text on the pages.
Yeah, which is uncommon for a game that's
for an isometric game.
Like,
right? Definitely.
It just adds to it. It's such a fucking well-made world, right?
It's so dense that the attention to detail is. I've never really seen anything that, you know.
Yeah, not in an isometric game. This looks great.
Even in any game that I'm trying to think of, like, what's so densely decorated and handcrafted as this? Like, it's It's pretty fantastic, you know. It's pared back in terms of like systems and, you know, like obviously here I'm going to the armor guy. It's not like a looter where you got thousands of pieces of gear to.
Oh, honestly, I like that better.
No, it's probably closer to Remnant from the Ashes or Dark Souls in that sense, how it deals with weapons actually, right? Like
just like an RPG basically.
Yeah, like
like
it's like loot light, I guess. You know, where there's, you know, exactly as in Dark Souls, there's a few stable weapons you can get. Here, there's a few different kinds of guns. Everybody might drop them, but there's only a few. And even if you sell the one you have, if you've upgraded it, the next time you get one, it'll still be like level 2 or 3, right?
Right.
So it's really pared back. It's not a looter, right? See how they have these conversational scenes where it zooms into the character's perspective. It's incredibly animated.
Yeah, it looks fucking amazing. You're making a case for me to want to just boot into this right away.
Really like it. It feels like you're just
anything else
immersed in it.
And it's co-op, right? We didn't even talk about how it plays out.
I'm just saying, like, first off, it's an intelligently wrought world building. It's a well-done game that's in tune with what Cyberpunk is and should be about, you know? It's not just window dressing. It's a game about these things. The whole plot is driven by this. Yeah, I didn't even finish explaining the story. Anyways, this arcology where fucking, you know, this corporation set it up so that there's these clusters like municipalities, but at one point they were made so they can't be independent. The fucking AI of this corporation called the Ascent Group, it declares bankruptcy.
Oh, really?
So the fucking whole arcology starts shutting down. The game actually starts with you having to repair a waste disposal system because shit is literally bursting out of the pipes. And this guy here, Poon, is getting pissed at you.
One for the plumbers.
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah.
Future plumbers,
you have
baby.
to go repair the fucking shit. 'Cause everybody's literally like, the fucking shit's not going anywhere.
Man.
And you're trying to set up a meeting between like different bosses like this guy of the other municipalities so that they can pool their fucking resources to actually have a chance to survive the shutdown of the arcology.
That sounds
everything's
fucking awesome.
Yeah, all the different, once the big AI shut down, like all of the lesser AIs that controlled them started to try and optimize everything in their own fucking...
Oh, geez.
So they started to compete with each other, essentially, and now there's just disaster in the whole arcology, and you're trying to avert that, right?
That sounds fucking sick.
Yeah, it's a cool plot.
Awesome. Wow.
It's a cool plot, and it's like got this gangster fiction vibe where the guy's like just barking at you like, hey, you piece of shit, you're gonna go over here and fucking... But he starts to like you eventually, you know?
Nice.
Because you save his life from this fucking attack by this gang.
Damn, man, they fucking they have to release this physically.
Yeah.
I want a copy.
They are.
Yeah, they are. Okay,
they are.
Beautiful.
And the cool thing is, man, it was made by 11 dudes. What the
Get out of here.
Yeah, man.
No
11
way.
dudes. And you're... Guy, how much is Blizzard spending on that fucking next shit heap it's going to squeeze out? You're telling me it's going to look or play better than this?
Oh, man.
It's, you know?
Yeah.
Do we even have to say it's not, right?
It'll be a survival game, we know that, but yeah.
You know, Blizzard can't make a game that even
floating
looks
around
like that.
In photo mode.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to drink at that bar. That's what I'm thinking in this moment. Looks like they're smoking some space drugs there. Look at that. They literally are.
Bongs,
what is that? Yeah.
Got future bongs, space weed.
It's awesome, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's detail in an isometric game. Look at the rug, the texture on the rug.
It's also very, like, creative instead of, like we've kind of talked shit about Mass Effect just being, like, really having, window dressing of the future, but they're just typing on a keyboard, like, it's everything's regular shit, right? It's like
the future. All they do is you have holographic technology in the best.
It's like not to fucking shit on Mass Effect, but I guess it's not super creative in that sense. This looks like
my return to Mass Effect in my adult life was marked by my disappointment in its world building. How it's just literally like some fucking like 40-year-old like liberal boomer decided to make like a space version of his own exact society, where like all these different alien races came up with like Francis Fukushima's like liberal universalism. Thousands of years apart, like
agreed on the same fucking stupid bullshit.
Come on, man. Ridiculous stuff. But yeah, that's right. This is, you know, and plus there's aliens and stuff like that. They never even bother to mention what they are.
So,
you know, I like how hands off the it's definitely not overwritten, right? It's got like it's like Neuromancer actually. Anyways, even the tone is like other cyberpunk fiction where there's like fucking kind of sleazy people like talking rough to each other, you know, and like criminals trying to steal things in cyberspace. Even like there's an item you equip called a cyber deck. Like in Neuromancer, everything takes place in these, you know, this cyberspace. You put on this fucking helmet and you're like, it jacks it like the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
And the guy has these different cyber decks in Neuromancer.
What was it in Cyberpunk? You could do the same thing.
Yeah.
What was it called though?
The net or fucking something like that. You jacked into the thing like in the chairs and shit like that. But here it's like you literally have an accessory called a cyber deck, exactly like in Neuromancer. And you can get upgrades of them and you use them to hack stuff in the area. It's so cool, man.
Cool.
Yeah. The whole time I'm always like, yes, there's like little cool details, and I can't, like, if you watch my footage here, every fucking 10 seconds I stop to swerve the camera around.
Just check out the fucking area and fucking surroundings.
Incredible. It really is incredible.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
That's like a terminal there where everybody jacks into the network of the arcology, and
wow,
it's pretty cool because like as you fix things, you see the area go from a state of like being a little bit messed up, and like then peace kind of returns there. Yeah.
No way.
Some of the other zones, although some are more like dungeons, like other areas where you go back and you respawn and stuff. Yeah. There's side missions, all this.
Fuck, you're really selling me on this, man. Like,
yeah, man.
I'm fucking.
Actually, the closest thing might be like a Diablo style ARPG. If you're gonna
true.
Talk about what kind of game this is, that's what it plays like, right? Really, that's what it plays like. Yeah, there's not really classes, but there's different weapons. You have 2 weapons, like in Remnant from the Ashes.
We get like assault rifles and shit.
Yeah, there's machine guns. There's whatever you expect. Shotguns. There's energy versions of the different guns that have slightly different characteristics.
Okay.
There's armor that have stats like fire and resistance, physical resistance, this and that shit, right?
So it's like very much RPG stuff too. Do you level up and shit? Like it's got all that stuff. Yeah. Is there like perks and skills and whatever?
There is, yeah. There's different stats you buy into. And then you get like augmentations, like spells, essentially, cyber powers. You equip 2 of them at once. There's different grenades like that have different effects and shit that you can equip. It's very cool.
I like it.
Yeah, man. And in terms of how it plays like a twin stick shooter. I don't know if you ever fucking played a twin stick shooter before.
Like sort of aim where you're going. And
like where it used to be like ships flying around and then the other stick aims the reticle. Like it's kind of like that, like where you're moving with the left stick.
There's been a bunch of games that are sort of like this.
That's right. Yeah. And the right stick is aiming, and I have the sensation that white reticle you see there represents like the optimal range of the gun.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. But
still, whether you're within or without that, like whether the guy's closer or further away from the
you still do damage.
Still hit him,
yeah. Okay.
But you notice it diminishes the further away he is, and it gets And you have an accuracy stat you can pump points into that you start to notice you can hit from a little bit further away. If there's a reload stat,
fuck, all kinds of cool stuff. I'm impressed, honestly. I remember it coming out on the Xbox, and that's why. We never really jumped in because
I wanted to play it originally, but I
remember we definitely wanted to, but I don't know. We're kind of sticking to our physical games.
Yeah.
It's
I couldn't wait to play this one. I saw it on sale there on the summer sale for like fucking less than $20. Yeah, I just bought it.
Just grabbed it. Nice.
Yeah. I'll just keep the other one sealed.
Was it on the? You're playing on the PlayStation 5,
on PS5,
right?
Yeah. Runs well. Loads quick.
I bet.
Looks good, yeah. It's nice. See Cyber Deck there. You equip and it has stats on the side. There's a nice map, a 3D map that lists all the stuff.
I think I might have to fucking play this game.
Yeah, man.
I just started Live Alive.
Yeah.
5 Alive. What the fuck is it called?
5 Alive. What is it?
5 Alive remake.
If it was if it was made in America, there would definitely be a Juice tie-in.
Right?
Kidding me?
There absolutely would be.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, you find these cool. Some of the abilities that you get, they're interesting. Like one is where you poison a guy, so when he dies, he explodes. Right?
Oh,
so
nice.
Little like secondary damage dealing ability.
That's very Diablo-esque, I guess.
Yeah, it's quite cool.
This game's probably a fucking way better version of modern Cyberpunk Diablo. Yeah, anything's better than Diablo.
In some ways, it's better Cyberpunk than Cyberpunk 2077. Like,
I believe it.
Gameplay-wise, like Cyberpunk, as you know, I fucking love that game.
Yeah,
it's a masterpiece in terms of its almost everything. But like, I don't really dig the RPG systems or any of that.
Yeah, it's whatever.
It's too much. It's not necessary. Honestly, if they made that a walking simulator, I would be happy.
Yeah. Just like
if they made it like an Until Dawn style fucking movie game, I would.
Oh, that might be cool.
Yeah. The combat was alright, but it was just.
It got kind of boring. It was very like just whatever.
It just didn't serve the concept, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Necessarily, right? Like, I don't know. It was kind of cool. It was not like bad. That was not what I liked about that game. Right?
Yeah.
I did enjoy it, but it was.
I think we loved the fucking city and the fucking lore
the world
of that. And exactly.
The
we got the book
good,
that kicked it off for us. The book of Night City and shit.
And the story was cool about him and Tony.
Yeah.
And fuck, it was so cool. And there were some cool scenes where they're just smoking cigarettes together and fucking Fight Club vibes. You know, oh man, what a great game. It was like a buddy story. It was so many things all at once. I loved it. Yeah, look at this stuff. Fantastic cyberpunk fiction.
Looks so sick.
And on that note, there was another game I was playing, another cyberpunk game called Observer.
Redux?
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard of it, but I've never really seen it.
Made by Bloober team, the guys who made The Medium and Layers of Fear. Polish fucking horror game developer. Good nice. Studio by all accounts, and I'm really enjoying the Observer. Not the Observer. It's
Redux.
Yeah, exactly. Redux. I think it's the only difference is that it's the console re-release. Perhaps there's a couple of extra missions or something like that. Yeah, it's not like it's a sequel or anything, and it's set in Poland like 60 years from now or 50 years from now or something like that.
Cool.
In Krakow, and your guy's like a fucking detective, but like this particularly despised kind of detective who goes and like jacks into people's minds and steals their memories and shit.
Oh, that's fucking sick.
Yeah. And he's going to this shitty like apartment block looking for his son, who apparently lives there now. Mm-hmm. And once he gets there, there's this massive lockdown because they're having a plague that fucks with people's a plague. So everybody's locked in the building. These concrete walls come down and shit like that. And it looks like people are being murdered by this monster while you're in there. And, it turns
Is this
out
like a first-person thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a horror game. There's not really combat or anything like that.
Oh, sick. Okay.
You're a detective. You're like figuring shit out.
Yeah.
And it all in the end is about how fucking AI is trying to invade your mind. That fucking, I think the AI that took your son or is your son or became your son. I'm not really sure.
Fuck. Yeah. That sounds dope too, man.
Talk about a fucking confluence of tech and biology, you know? Like the man's trying to be the thing's trying to oust him from his own body, essentially. It's trying to convince you to like surrender your body to itself, you know? Kind of like Johnny. It's back at that level of the personal confluence of tech and man, I suppose. But another fucking take on the cyberpunk genre, and this one focused obviously on a more grim fucking possibility implied by the whole thing, right?
Yeah, it seems fucking...
Your body being hijacked by a fucking... being made an instrument of something other than yourself, you know?
Jesus. Yeah, that's fucking... intense, man. It sounds like you're putting me on like a cyberpunk kink.
Yeah,
like
definitely I am on that myself.
I can tell. Yeah,
it's cool.
You're making a good case for it though. Like I'll just switch over to like the far future and live and
do it. That's cool, eh?
Right. I do want to play the Ascent though, especially if we can do a co-op.
We definitely can.
Yeah, that sounds fucking sweet too.
The coolest thing about Cyberpunk, even from the perspective of video games, that video games are like a fucking early form of that confluence of man and tech. That's why I keep saying that.
Cyberpunk or the Ascent?
The Ascent, you said.
Yeah? Okay,
yeah, you
sorry.
Said it right. Fuck it, it's all good. That's what you do when you play a game, right? Like it requires, at least at the level of intentionality, at the level of what you're doing with your mind, like the identification of you with the fucking thing you're, fucking participating in, right? So I think that Cyberpunk has that. Cyberpunk/video games are interesting for that reason. Right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah. That's why I don't think it necessarily implies, some kind of horrific outcome like in The Observer or like this guy Nick Land says, right? Mm-hmm. There's the semiotic valence to it, if that's used as a means to carry the mind beyond itself, then it's just a better way of symbolizing things than words or images, right?
Yeah. Hey, fuck.
Yeah.
It's the next step.
Yeah. That's what all this stuff relates to anyways. It's cool. It's cool fiction for that reason. And think about that fucking fourth wall breaking, like autism of a fucking game/cyberpunk artifact of being about cyberpunk, It's pretty cool.
It is an interesting fucking parallel to draw.
Yeah, nice loop, eh?
Yeah.
Nice stuff. Well, fuck then. Maybe we'll play some of this together.
Yeah, we should, for sure.
By next week, I should be done the Corey, and perhaps we can talk about that.
Yes.
I'm almost done it right now, and it's quite good.
Yeah?
It's good, yeah, it's good.
I'm going to quit my job, buddy.
Did enjoy it a lot, yeah.
I need more time to play all these games.
Anyways, thank you guys very much for tuning in. Play your Cyberpunk games. Play some Xenoblade this week. Shit. By the next time we get here, we're going to have played Xenoblade.
Oh, man.
Chronicles
Bear and
3.
Breakfast? Holy fuck.
And Bear and Breakfast. Look at that.
Jeez.
All right. Talk to you guys on Saturday. Thank you very much, and take care.
Yeah.